All right, let's do it live on a Monday edition of the program. I am merely Bo. He is the great Z. Well, that was a football game, buddy.
It's just great to be in your presence. It's
Great
been
to
a
be in
while.
your presence. I was under the weather.
I haven't had my
and
on-off
I battled
light.
through it.
It's been great. I'm back.
It's good to be here. It's good to be seen.
The wellness retreat did you well?
It did. It was.
That's the goal.
I tell you what. Anytime that you walk in and you get one of those little green juice shots ready to go,
Yeah.
that sets it off.
It's a real shot of life.
It really was. I got the chakras working. Several masseuses rubbing me out, getting it everywhere I needed to be. Big wins for everybody. Big wins for everybody. How you doing?
I'm good.
How was Pittsburgh? I'm surprised he came back.
So Pittsburgh Peepaw was, I think, having the time of his life. He was very happy there.
How was that nacho spread?
So I got to put.
He went a day early. He actually went Friday. He went Friday just so he could spend an extra day in his adopted city.
I didn't realize we were going to start off the show like this.
Well, I don't want to talk about the game yet.
Fine, and you are within your right to do so. Not once,
Okay, I want you. Okay.
not once, but twice.
What happened?
The gentleman that's sitting in that room with you got the nachos.
Okay, hold on.
You went back?
Hold on.
Oh, yeah,
Hold
he
on,
did.
hold on. Okay, first of all, look at the spread.
Damn
And-
right he
and
did.
you need to zoom in.
They got a great. They
Okay.
got a great nacho
So
set up there.
You got a kind of a
So
chili,
it's like a chili
which I did sample.
sample.
That's the best nacho
That's-
cheese in the world. Okay, I just want you to look at that.
So that's your classic old school, like not cheese, gooey nacho cheese.
Okay,
Probably not
in
a
a
cheese
vat,
product
look
at all.
At
In a
there's like
vat.
who's not, it's already crusted on
There's
the top.
crusting from.
Okay.
Yeah, that's gonna happen.
Perfect.
These are the best nacho chips in the world.
Tostitos rounds.
Tostitos rounds thrown right out of the bag.
Throwing them in there.
Okay. Then you got some sour cream in the back. You got fresh jalapenos, which I appreciate.
Okay, that's nice.
And then you have Tostitos salsa dumped into a vat.
Dumped into the
this
vat.
is what he has dubbed
is-
the greatest nacho bar in the world. Okay,
I didn't
And
dub
his,
it
and his
in
love
the world.
and his love affair for Pittsburgh began
right then.
Right
yeah.
then.
I mean, and now as you look at it from behind, this is how impressive it is. In its
Not once,
its
but
entirety.
twice did Zagura go
So
back.
I went the first.
You
time.
went two.
You went
two
twice.
shots. Hold on.
I appreciate.
How are you spinning this?
I appreciate that they had lunch food.
That's nice.
That was appreciated because too often a 1 o'clock game features breakfast food before, and I don't get it.
Yeah. I think that's fair.
It's lunch.
Yeah,
it's time for lunch.
Yeah.
Their lunch line consisted of a salad, which I
Okay.
did get some of,
Little choose your own adventure.
and then it was like some.
Rough.
I don't even know what. I'll be honest. I don't know what it was.
Maybe that's why I like the nacho so much.
If it was a. If it
To
was
be honest,
a.
that moment just clicked in my head because
you looked at the
I
other
didn't
thing. I'm
eat
not having that.
anything else.
Not
outside
even a
of-
vegetable. There was like a frittata, maybe.
I don't know what.
I
I don't
that
know
is.
what it was, but like, it was a giant tub of what looked like eggs and cream and
It was something I was not getting
sights
into.
of maybe some spinach in there. Maybe I don't
Like
know.
a quiche? Was it trying to be a quiche?
Yeah, but I think a frittata quiche. I think it's tomato. I don't know. I could be wrong about that, but I feel like
You could
same,
be right. Yeah.
Same. So
Same
it's
world,
something
like
that
some
looked
sort of a eggy.
cheesy, eggy, gross, like
Not-
disgusting
it
looking
was
thing.
not- I wasn't partaking.
And then it ended with like a smoked steak being carved. So I got salad, I got steak, and then I was like, all right, we're here.
Let's
got
do
a
it.
couple of chips, got a couple of jalapenos on there, a little salsa and a little nacho. And so I no cheese though, just a little bit of the chili, I guess.
Yeah.
And the chips were like they would be right out of a bag, salty, crisp, delightful. I
delightful,
guess.
yeah.
And then when I went back, I'm like, I'm not eating any more of this smoked meat. This salad was gross. I'm not eating this frittata, so I'm still hungry. So I'm going to get a few more chips, a few more fresh jalapenos, and that's what I'm going to do.
Yeah.
And he happened to walk in, and I was like,
He was all
I
over.
saw you 10 minutes ago eating.
He loved it so much. It's really valedictorian of summer school is what it is.
And it's not like if this nacho bar were next
Yeah.
to the nacho bar in Houston that we had, where they had like fresh carnitas that they were like
Oh,
putting
baby.
on there. They
Yeah.
had multiple kinds of cheeses if you were into that,
Yeah.
from your white cheeses, maybe a Chihuahua perhaps.
Oh, baby. Yeah.
To all the way to
So you're not
the-
a queso guy.
I'm not a huge
In
queso
general.
guy in general.
Okay.
No,
They had
it's cheap.
they had multiple salsas, fresh salsas, pico de gallos. They had
Verde?
guacamole. They had a verde. Of
course they did.
They had it all.
Yeah.
And then this was dubbed
This is their
in the same calendar year in which he ate at both of those places. In fact, he was in Houston twice.
Twice.
He decided that this was
This
the
was
best.
it. That was it.
Yeah.
I did like Gibby. Gibby is listening to audio he's going to play later in the show for us. He hears it. I didn't know we were going to start with this. Came right over.
I will say something has
that was
happened
fun.
at that stadium where I did have the best egress I've ever had in my life.
Okay.
I was game ended. What time would you say the game ended, Gibby?
No, we signed off right at 4:20 because I literally had our post-game stream set to start at 4, and I was like, this might be a first. Like, I don't have to adjust anything here.
So we sign off at 4:20. I go downstairs and do my post-game recap
I have never seen our booth clear out the way it did.
with Vincenzo. I was out there, and Stiliano had a plane to catch. So we clear out. I go hit my thing. I'm yelled at by Steelers fans on the way out. I'm yelled at Steelers fans on the way back up the ramp. And then I'm on foot, and I'm hoofing it. And now I'm running through.
You're running.
Yeah, because my parking lot is like 3 blocks up the hill.
Yeah.
And I'm like
Let's
trying
go.
to get out because it's been in years past. I can get in my car, but I could be in my car for an hour before I even like get 3 blocks.
Yeah.
It's terrible.
Yep.
Something's changed. Maybe they cut a road off or something. I'm zooming up. Checked left, checked right. My
Oh, my
Steelers
God.
fans like screaming at me, dumpster fire, you stink, other things that I can't even say on
Can't
the
say
air.
it.
Just mean-spirited and like bumping me, and they're like, hey, your bag's open, Psh, and like hitting my bag. I'm like, okay, like for real? Like we're all adults here. Like, what are
Segura
we
doesn't
doing?
know how to zip his bag up.
What are we doing?
Yesterday when he showed up and I met him
like a
downstairs with his
Come
credential,
on,
I'm like,
man.
dude, your
Just
bag's
trying to
open.
get into the
My
lunch
bag's
line.
open because the boards are taller than the top of the bag.
There's no way
like
to
it's
zip it.
not hard to figure out.
So you're like a kid trying to get to the lunch, and all these bullies just keep bouncing you around like a pinball
So
to get
then
to
I
your
folded
lunch.
my boards, but then look at this.
Then it's no good.
Who
You can't
likes
have
that?
a folded board. You got to have it crisp.
It's got to be pure.
Yeah. So you get there, and then
So I'm in my car, and all of a sudden, I'm like, wait a second. I'm zipping out. I'm like, oh my goodness. Boom, 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 boom. I'm on the freeway. I was at Peppermint picking up Thai food at 6:30
what is the door to door?
for me, about 150.
150. Yeah. Yeah, it's nothing.
I've never seen. It was a real treat. But apparently, I'm not the only one who had encounters. I know that Carly Teller and some of our players' wives were not treated very well in that stadium, that's way over the line. You spent time with
I
TJ
sat
Watt's
right
wife.
behind TJ. Well, right next to Bootsy was right next to TJ Watt's wife here,
And we were classy
and the
about it.
people could not have. Now I didn't walk with her to the arena, so I don't know that. But in terms of the way that
I think
she
this
and the
was-
rest of the players' wives, girlfriends were treated by us was
Top
first
notch,
class.
top notch.
And now she was great too. She was taking pictures with everybody. Like she had a good spirit about it, good sport about it. But yes, they were treated with utmost class and professionalism. So
Hey, Debate, right?
I saw that as well with Carly.
in
but I
the
didn't
in the
see it.
stands. I know that we had.
It was in the
we
stands
needed
when it happened?
intervention. Yeah.
I mean, that's awful. That's a
Yeah.
bad job.
Come on.
It's a bad job.
Come on.
Cesspool. It makes all the sense in the world.
Yeah.
I will say I enjoyed yesterday, and I hope that he's back in his Hermosa abode listening. Siciliano, I don't know if you got a chance to listen to the broadcast.
I listened to
yesterday.
it the whole way I listened to the entire second quarter because I was on the way back from basketball.
All right,
there
it
were some
probably,
moments
it
in
probably wasn't there yet. I think it was more second half when
Yeah.
he just had it with the city, the people,
All of it.
all of it.
He had
It
never
was-
been.
Oh, he's never been to Pittsburgh.
And we
For
were
a
like,
game, no.
well, you're in for something here
Yeah.
today.
he had some unbelievable lines. He and I, as we walked off, were like, somebody asked us to give a message to Myles Garrett that would be probably received poorly.
Yeah.
It wasn't.
Yeah,
It
sure.
wasn't. He wasn't asking me to deliver pleasantries.
No.
To Myles
Yeah.
Garrett, and
No.
we declined, and so we were talking about that, and then we were talking about the kid in Denver who I said, I was like, how come everywhere we go walking, people are giving us a hard time,
Right.
Siciliano? And he's like, I don't know. And then he's like ranting about the Steelers fans, and then ranting about the kid in Denver. He's like, that kid was a truant. He should have been in school. I almost fell out of my chair
That's a
when
great
he
line.
said truant. It was so good. It was so
Oh,
good. Yeah.
God bless. God bless. Listen, if you can't, you're going to. Let's do this. This, because I was curious about this walking in here. Under what set of rules, what guidelines should we view these last 5 games,
Well, now-
including the one yesterday? Like going into it.
yeah.
You know, one thing we always like to do, whether it's I do this on like in the mornings, and we do it here. Like, all right, what standard? So like we went into this season, we said go win the division.
Yes.
Go be a team of consequence in the postseason, but win the division first and see what happens. So
Yes.
that was the way that we were judging this team, and so we held them to that standard until it became untenable to hold them to that standard anymore, and quite obvious that was not going to be the case. So once that happens, and now we're sitting here, now officially eliminated from the postseason at 3-10. What should fans be looking for in these games?
So you're looking for young players and people that you think have a potential to be part of your core going forward. And I think that one of the big shames in this is that, the injury to JOK, and as far as I know, we still don't have any updates on him. Coaches talked.
He has already talked, yeah.
Yeah, did he give any updates, provide any updates on JOK?
Gabriel?
So JOK, Stefanski has ruled him out for this coming game against Kansas City, but
That
did
was
not
it.
provide any updates moving forward.
Okay. So that's kind of a week to week. Seems like he comes on a week before and says he's out, and then
What did he say about Greg?
Same hamstring as
The one
to
that
start
required
the year.
surgery. Yeah, and the way that he reacted, it seemed like that was
Timeline
pretty bad.
to be determined. They're still evaluating.
So he's likely done for the year. So the hard part is guys like JOK, Mike Hall, you certainly would have wanted to see get a ton of run right now. You're not going. DeJuan Jones, you would have wanted to see get a ton of run. You're not going to right now. So from that standpoint, I think there is a lot that is been taken away from you. So who are guys you're looking at? Isaiah McGuire continues to make plays, forced another fumble, played well. He was actually our highest graded player on our defense at Pro Football Focus. That gives you hope that, maybe he can be the edge guy, opposite Myles Garrett. Your linebackers, I think two guys who are still younger in their careers. I thought Jordan Hicks played great, and maybe you can get him back at a cheap rate. But Devin Bush and Mahmoud Diabate continue to make plays to my eyes. So that's good. On the back end now, Cam Mitchell's going to get a lot of opportunity.
Yeah.
Ronnie Hickman, I think, is going to continue to get some opportunity, which will be good to watch. We need to. MJ's just in a little bit of a rut right now, and hopefully you can, over the final 4 games, help him get out of it. And then on the offensive side, it's, we've got to get Cedric Tillman back and get him involved. And unfortunately, that's kind of it from a young perspective, right? There's not a lot of youth, especially on the line. There's nobody, maybe it's you're not going to sit Batonio or Teller. Why would you?
No,
Just so that you can say, okay, let's see if Zach Zinter has progressed from his early season struggles. You're not going to see that. We don't have a Luke Whippler to put in there, unfortunately, due to his injury. So a lot of the guys that maybe, and Ethan Posick's been playing very well, but a lot of the guys that you would maybe want to see on the offense side or that are young, you're just not going to have the opportunity. That, I think, is the toughest part about this. There are really not a whole lot of guys from a developmental standpoint to look at. Now the question becomes, and G-Man, was the quarterback addressed?
Jameis is the guy.
Is the starter.
Jameis is the guy, yes.
Okay, so
Emphatically.
okay, which he did not say after the game yesterday. He was asked about that, and so I thought maybe the door's open there. Because I would say, maybe to see DTR or Zappy at some point, you at least get a look. Okay, can this guy be a backup for me?
Yeah.
Whatever that may look like. And I have no problem with, obviously, I totally understand why you do play Jameis. We've seen, unfortunately, a couple more picks this week. That's the frustrating part about this, to be perfectly honest with everybody, is that there aren't really a whole lot of young guys that are in position to get reps that are going to be transferable to next year, especially on the offensive side. The only position it could happen at really is a quarterback. Cedric Tillman would be one. Even a guy like David Bell is done for. You know what I mean? They're just aren't.
It's. I'm kind of here. So let me run. This is
so to me. It's like I think it would be fun if you can. I want to beat the Bengals.
Sure.
To me, like that would be my number one priority over the final 4 games is beat the Bengals. Why? Then you at least split with everybody in the division.
Yeah.
And that feels good.
Yep.
But other than that, the Chiefs they know how to win. Miami coming up here feels like, in that weather gives you a good opportunity. But I really don't know I don't know the answer to that. I think you do not want to lose the final 6 games in a row.
No.
I don't think that's helpful.
No, I don't either.
As much as it helps your draft position, I don't think that's helpful. And I don't know that there is somebody in this draft that is
I mean, there's some really good. There's a couple of. I mean, I assume we're going to draft tackle first would be my guess, or maybe receiver. Who knows? D end if there's one that's there. I mean, I'm guessing those would be the 3 position groupings you'd look at in the first
You
round.
have to look at quarterback.
Not in this draft.
Not in
because
this
you're not
draft.
going to be in a position to. I don't think so. I would. My blue. I mean, this is a show we'll do in February 1,000 times, but I would say one of those positions, whether it's tackle, receiver, corner, or corner, D end, best available of that, first round, second round, do the opposite. And then third or fourth, at that point, I would take a flyer on one of these quarterbacks who maybe doesn't have the physical wow that some of them will. But I think of even a guy like Dylan Gabriel who plays for Oregon.
Yeah.
Like, he is so calm, so cool. He's a little dude, but he's really accurate. He's totally poised. I don't know that he would be franchise, but in this system,
Everybody's going to be looking for a Brock Purdy, right?
sure. And he's kind of has that to him, that DNA to him to fit Kevin's offense. I think if you watch what O'Connell did with Minnesota this year and what he did with Sam Darnold, like, if you have someone who can process and I'm going to scheme this open, just throw it to the open guys, that works. And that's the reason I ask is, for me, I think all I would want to know, I mean, everything you said is on point, and those things I agree with 100%. But all I'd want to know is, am I bringing Jameis Winston back to start next season? Is he my quarterback next season? And if so, can Jameis Winston run my offense, the Kevin Stefanski offense? Because I don't think we need to be in the shotgun world. We threw it 41 times yesterday. We're throwing it 40, 50 times every week. I don't know that that's what when you think about what the Cleveland Browns are, I don't know that that's what we are.
I know the problem is we for whatever reason, and
Yeah.
I'm sure there are a variety of reasons, we are not running the football like we used to run the football.
Well,
And I don't know if that part of that's probably got to be a little bit of Bill Callahan, because we're more dangerous throwing the football than we've been throughout
Yeah.
a great portion of the period where we were just flat out good at running the football.
Yeah.
We are not good at running the football.
No.
And so that's why I think we are, in some ways, kind of who we are right now because of that. You know, Nick Chubb finally popped one. He had the 19-yard run, but other than that, he had 10 rushes for 29 yards. You know, that's kind of right where he's been at 3 yards a carry.
He's exactly what I thought he would be this year.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like we did a pretty good job of warning people of coming off of the injuries that he's coming off of.
Yep.
Right? And even when now maybe next year he gets there. I never want to doubt Nick Chubb, but this is about what I thought he would be. In fact, I remember you and I talking this summer saying, like,
I think next year he certainly has a chance to be whatever he's going, whatever the ceiling of what he can be again is.
Yeah.
How close that is to 100%. Next year, I think we'll have a better idea of it than this year.
I couldn't agree with you more. And you and I both said this summer, I remember us once saying, like, think Kareem Hunt, like the last time here.
Yeah.
And that's kind of what you're getting.
Yeah.
You know, is kind of Kareem the last time here. He just doesn't, because of the injuries, he just doesn't have that same burst. Knowing him, he'll get it. Next year, he'll be fine. But that's it. So for me, when I'm watching this team play, I'm saying, okay, does Jameis do enough to lead you to believe as a franchise that he's your starting quarterback through the offseason to the start of next season? And however long that goes. Is the intent that Jameis Winston is the starter the rest of this year, the offseason, next football season? That would be my one question. And so I don't know if this is how I'm viewing them. This is how I'm watching the games, is from that prism. The rest of the stuff, there's a lot that's got to get sorted out. And everything you said on the young guys is on point. That's the things you're looking for. And we're robbed of the Mike Hall stuff. We're robbed of DeJuan Jones. We're robbed of those type of guys. We're not able to see that.
Which stinks, because my guess is you look at those two positions they occupy, they're both going to be counted on to play huge roles. I mean, DeJuan, in my mind, is penciled in as your starting left tackle.
Yeah, it would
and
seem like it.
Mike Hall's going to be a starting defensive tackle. You know,
Yeah.
You're old in that room right now.
Very.
So that's kind of the shame in it, that you're not getting to see some of these people that, you know, you really did. In the case of DeJuan, you take his body of work, you know, probably would be a first-round pick.
Yeah.
And, you know, Mike Hall's guy you drafted was your first pick taken in this year's draft. And, you know, we really didn't get to see him. We saw him for a couple games, obviously suspended early in the season and then now injured. So, yeah, I think you're right. You know, we talked about it, you know, last week, that the biggest question facing this organization is what is the plan at quarterback for 2025 and beyond? Mm-hmm. That's the biggest question. And so you're right in terms of what you can observe over the end of 2024, because obviously Deshaun's still going to be rehabbing from an Achilles, is Jameis Winston. We had talked weeks ago that we both thought, you need to see DTR, and I still would like to see him, but at the same point, if nobody's rushing to do that, perhaps there's reasons that we don't know about it. I'm not; those are no scores at all.
No, it's just common sense.
It just right. So, yeah, I think you're watching Jameis through that prism or lens or whatever you want to say it, because in some ways, that's what this is. That's what this is about. Is this organization's primary focus has to be just period the quarterback position. What is that?
Of course, yeah.
Because until you are able to have that question definitively answered, you're in what is really kind of described in the NFL as a bit of a limbo. And Jameis is pretty much doing, folks, right on what he does.
He is fully formed
for his whole career.
He's
basically right on what he does. His career is 61% completions. He's at 61%. His career yards per attempt is 7.6. He's at 7.3. His career yards per completion is 12.5, which is actually the leader of all active quarterbacks in the NFL. He's at 12 this year. His touchdown interception ratio for his career is basically 3 for every 2. He's at 13-9. I mean,
he's right on it. Yeah, he is exactly who he is.
Yeah, he's right on what you expected. The one anomaly he had in his career was 2021 when he had 14 touchdowns and 3 picks in New Orleans. That was kind of the one anomaly season, and then he gets hurt, obviously, and this is the most that he started since that season. But, yeah, and you need to find out, okay, can we get it to a point here, maybe over the Final Four, where we cut down those mistakes? It's because 5 picks in the last 2 games. And have that be tenable. And then what does that actually look like?
Do you think that's fair to ask, though? Because to everything you just said, it's kind of like the point, like he is who he is.
Do I think what is
that he will not be 3 touchdowns, 2 picks? I mean, he's 30 now. Like this is who he kind of is. Like it's funny. Somebody brought up Geno Smith with me this morning. They could Jameis be our Geno Smith, where he's there and then he turns into that, where he's like Geno's in his 3rd year as the starter at Seattle. Geno right now is 14 touchdowns, 12 picks on the year. Like they're winning.
He doesn't throw touchdowns for this year. It's weird because he's one of the top 5 in the league in yards.
Right.
He's at 3,474
throws it up,
yards.
Yeah, but for whatever reason doesn't throw touchdowns. He's 14 touchdowns, 12 picks, which is basically what he was his career. Is that? I mean, that's what got him in trouble with the Jets and the Giants. Was all of that.
Yeah. So he was basically.
And the age-wise matches up with Jameis. Like he's around the same age as Jameis when they got this opportunity that Jameis has right now with the Browns.
Yeah, so his first year in Seattle, he throws for 4,282 yards, 70% completions, 30 touchdowns, 11 picks.
Monster year.
So that was a monster year. Last year was 65%, 20 touchdowns, 9 picks. And then this year, he's actually leading the league in passing yards with 3,474. He's number 1 league, 14 touchdowns and 12 picks. I don't know.
See, I mean, that's what I think about because I watched Darnold go 22 of 28 and 5 touchdowns. And I said, well, Sam Darnold's going to be a starting quarterback. He's probably going to get good money next year. Now, he's going to have to be smart in his choice and hopefully learn from what he learned in the league and go to a place that will take advantage of his skill set with that type of offense.
Yeah.
So where are those places, right? I mean, how many of those places are out there that need quarterbacks?
They need a quarterback.
Right? I mean, that's potentially that would be us. But we're not going to have the cap money to be able to pay him.
No, he's going to – I feel like he's positioned himself to get a Baker.
I was just going to say a Baker deal.
A Baker deal.
Yeah.
I mean, this year –
if there is a place, I just don't know what the landing spot is. Quite honestly, Minnesota might do it. They might go give him a 3-year deal and tell J.J. McCarthy to sit for 2 years and get all the way healthy like Jordan Love, and then we'll play you in a couple of years. They could absolutely do that in Minnesota. Yeah. So then Daniel Jones is going to be in the mix. Who knows what's going to happen in Minnesota with that situation. So, there could be – I'm sorry, in Atlanta, not Minnesota. So there could be some guys out there, and I think that's the way I'm choosing to watch the last month is is there a roadmap here where you bring Jameis back, he's your starter, and he's your starter the next 2 to 3 years until you get it sorted out the way you want to?
What would, in your mind, what would that have to look like? And by the way, Daniel Jones, it's amazing how many of these guys there are. Daniel Jones, 64% completions for his career, 6.5 yards per attempt, 84 rating for his career, and basically 3 touchdowns for every 2 picks, basically.
Kind of a mirror of Jameis.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, what I would like to see, now I don't know how you could even do it now, but I think the question you have to ask is, can Jameis run the Cleveland Browns offense as Kevin Stefanski brought it here? That's what I would want to, because I think that's who we are. I think and I'm not saying this has anything to do with Ken. I mean, Ken was brought in here in part to get the most out of Deshaun Watson and the shotgun and all of that and take full advantage.
That does fit Jameis.
It fits Jameis very well, but I guess what I'm saying is I would not make those same accommodations for Jameis or anybody who's a bridge. And let's be honest, he's at best it's a bridge.
And you hope that it turns into
maybe it's more. Maybe
more.
it's 4 years. Who knows? But
Right.
you go
Yeah,
into
of
it
course.
thinking it's a bridge.
Of course.
So that's what I would want to see is how does he handle those components of what we are offensively and what
I
the
think he's
identity
done
of this
some
team
pretty
is.
from an under center play action situation. He's actually been pretty good.
Yeah.
So Jameis this year from play action is 31 of 52, 11.2 yards per attempt, 580 yards, 4 touchdowns, 1 pick, and a rating of 116 with play action. Without play action, he's 9 touchdowns, 8 picks, 78 rating. So he's actually, I mean, not that it's just as simple as it is play action, but that is obviously a big part of what makes Kevin's offense successful. And what he's also done is something that is helpful. He's been very good against the blitz. He's actually been better against the blitz than he has when he has not been blitzed. And he's been very effective from a clean pocket. I mean, I think it is there with Jameis. I think it gives you the ability to be multiple because his under the center play action game actually has been very good.
Yeah, I mean, if he got all the reps and he got all the offseason and he got all of it, we're not going to be sitting here going Super Bowl, Super Browns next year to start the year, but you could be in the mix in the postseason with a full offseason.
Yeah, the truth is in the NFL, you don't know. I mean, I think that you look around the National Football League and you say, okay, who are the teams that have been able to overcome, either dead money situations or challenging cap situations and all of that. It's the teams that have been able to hit on a quarterback young, and that's for the Niners. Niners with Purdy, Broncos, Bo Nix, Commanders, I think, obviously have a real one in Jaden Daniels. The Bears situation just feels like a disaster because
that's
the whole is so much less than the sum of its parts.
Yeah,
especially on offense.
Yeah.
But that's what it is. And I mean, you look, folks, this is not hard. When you look at the teams that would be in the playoffs if they started today, it's pretty apparent. Kansas City has Mahomes.
Mm-hmm.
Buffalo has Josh Allen. The Steelers have Russell Wilson playing excellent football.
Russell Wilson's won a Super Bowl.
Yeah.
Like
Russell Wilson is probably going to be a Hall of Famer.
He's trending that way based on if this continues for another couple years, yeah.
I mean, Russ, it's funny, when I was preparing for this game, so Russ this year has 12 touchdowns, 3 picks. He's completing 65% of his passes. His rating's 104. I mean, Russell Wilson for his career, 65% completions, 346 touchdowns, 109 picks, quarterback rating of 100.1 for his career. He has been very good. He is a 9-time Pro Bowler. He's a Super Bowl champ. He is top 5 in the Offensive Player of the Year 4 times.
Oh,
He's
yeah.
been
The resume's there.
second team All-Pro.
Yeah.
Never first team All-Pro. But
That's
okay.
Quarterback,
Anyway,
that's a little bit different.
he's playing very well. Houston right now is in on record, but I think it has a lot to do with the conference they're in. But still, C.J. Stroud is a guy that you feel like is
It'll all
there,
work
even
itself
though
out,
right.
yeah.
The Ravens have a 2-time MVP in Lamar Jackson. The Chargers have Herbert, who's a beast, and Denver has Bo Nix. That's in the playoffs right there in the AFC. In the NFC,
it's a little different in the NFC.
not a ton though.
Well,
you have a couple because of you have 3 what I would call bridgy,
Yeah.
second chance, but all were
highly regarded. though.
highly regarded. So you got Goff, who's playing lights out. You got Jalen Hurts, who has also a great supporting cast with him, but has been
Yep.
good.
MVP level player.
So then it goes Geno, Baker, and Darnold, who are all playing well. And Bake's right now doing enough to win, but also I think he turned over 3 times last game, 3 times in game 4, but is completing 70% of his passes, 28 touchdowns, I think, something like that. He's playing very well. Darnold's playing well. Green Bay's got Jordan Love, who was every bit
Stud.
the franchise quarterback, and Washington has Jaden Daniels. I mean, you look at it, and it's just that simple. And what's wild is you look at teams not in the playoffs. I would say the only surefire franchise quarterback, I think there are 2 where they feel like they've got franchisee quarterbacks. Surefire is Burrow.
Yes.
And then, we really like him, Tua
Yeah.
and Trevor Lawrence. But
I think
just-
Drake may. I think New England
Drake
thinks
may
he's
eventually.
Real. Yeah.
Okay, so that's in the NFC.
AFC, yeah.
And in the AFC, I'm sorry. And then in the NFC, of the teams that are not in, here's what's crazy. Stafford, balling.
Yep.
And by the way, nobody wants them to get in.
Nobody does. No.
You'd much rather play Seattle
Of
Seahawks
course.
than the LA
Yes.
Rams right
Yes.
now. Atlanta's got Cousins, Arizona, Kyler Murray, Niners, Purdy, Dallas, Prescott, but he's hurt.
Yeah.
New Orleans probably doesn't feel like they have one in Carr, although he was very good against us. Chicago saying, okay, I'm not sure about Caleb Williams. Carolina is probably feeling
He looks great.
a
5
lot
weeks
better
in a
about
row,
Bryce
He looks
Young.
really good.
Yeah, they're saying, okay, we're okay.
So
But you need that's it in this league.
quarterback.
Quarterback.
Those are your hot topics today, presented by University Hospitals, official healthcare partner of your Cleveland Browns. Kevin Stefanski up next. You'll listen to Cleveland Browns Daily on 850 ESPN Cleveland. Leaf Filter, the official gutter guard of your Cleveland Browns. Go to leafilter.com/GoBrowns to get your free gutter inspection and to receive your exclusive promo offer. That is leaffilter.com/GoBrowns. Visit today. Time to head to the podium, presented by Vivid Seats. Purchase your official fan experience package today for the ultimate game day. Here's Coach Stefanski.
All right, injury.
You guys are down 10 minutes.
On concussion protocol. Greg Newsome has a hamstring injury. Obviously you watched the tape yesterday. It's extremely disappointing to play not well enough to get a win on the road. Obviously losing a turnover battle is difficult, makes life harder on yourself and trying to find a way to win. So we have to do a better job there, which I think is obvious. So there's things that we feel like we can clean up and do better, and that's what we'll do. We'll just keep our head down and get back to work.
Hey, Kevin.
Hey, Scott.
Hey, are you sticking with Jameis as a starter?
Yes.
Okay. And given that the quarterback situation beyond this year is kind of up in the air, do you think it's important to get kind of more tape on him and evaluate him longer in your system and everything?
Yeah, our focus right now is really just trying to find ways to get a win, Scott. And that's, a big part of this week is finding ways to play good football on offense, defense, and special teams and put ourselves in position to find a way to win.
Gotcha. And then on that screen, the interception, I guess what's he supposed to do there? Was it just a good play by the defense, or what did you see when you looked at that?
Yeah, I think with screens, you got to be careful. Obviously, sometimes they look really good, sometimes they don't. And there are times when, as a quarterback, you can dirt that thing and throw it away. He's obviously trying to make a play. I think it's a great play by their player. There are things that we can do better really across the board on that play, but I also have to tip my cap to their player.
Yeah, Kevin, just wondering what kind of goes into that decision to stick with Jameis? Is it just a no-brainer because obviously he's averaging more than 300 yards, or what kind of is the line of thinking there?
Yeah, I understand the question, but for me and for us, we're just going to continue to do everything we can to play better. Obviously, I think we can play better on offense. Certainly, as a team, we can play better. But really, the focus is making sure that we put our guys in position to find a way to win.
Quick follow-up on that. Is there going to come a point at all maybe that you might want to take a look at Dorian for the future, or is that really not in your line of thinking at this point?
Yeah, my line of thinking really, Mary Kay, is about Kansas City and this week. That's where I'll really focus.
Kevin, I hear you say that you're just focused on Kansas City, but JOK, do you think he'll play again this season?
Yeah, I'm not. I'll rule him out for this week, Jeff. I'm not going to go past this week, and I'll just obviously update you guys as we get more information.
We haven't seen him in a locker room. Is he in the building? And what is he doing if he is?
Yeah, again, he's making sure that he's taking care of himself, getting all the information he can get. He's been in and out of the building.
Hey, Kevin, can you just talk a little bit about the job Jack Conklin did again yesterday going against TJ, because it seemed like two really strong performances from him?
I'm glad you pointed that out. Actually, it was two good performances versus a great rusher. There's times when you help your tackles versus that team. There's times that you don't, and I thought Jack really did well, even when he was singled up. Where he's come to this point from where he was with his injury, I think is pretty impressive.
Yeah, that was gonna be my follow-up, basically, just to see him to not only get a chance to come back out there and play for you guys, but to excel in these moments. He's talked about that's, definitely giving him something to play for over these last handful of games. Just how have you seen him kind of embrace that, even though the wins haven't necessarily come super easy?
I think he's fought really hard to get back. Got back and really hasn't missed a beat. I think he's certainly gotten better each week, as most players do. When you're coming off of an injury, you get more comfortable and you get a little bit stronger and those type of things. And I thought he's acquitted himself really nicely.
Yeah, Kevin, I realize there's not been a common theme here week to week with why things have gone the way they have. I know you're not in a reflective mode, but as you head down the home stretch here, what's been the challenges of going week to week and having to correct the wide variety of things that have popped up, and just, why do you think that has not gone positively for you?
I just think our job as coaches, Daryl, are to find ways to win games, obviously, and identify the things that are holding us back and correct those things. And It's not just one thing. It's not a specific side of the ball. It's not players, coaches. It's just all of us. We just need to identify those things that we can do better, and we just have to do them better.
And I wanted to ask you about that Kadarius Toney taunting flag there in the fourth quarter. I know he wasn't in on like the ensuing offensive series, but you sent him back out there. Was there any consideration to just keeping him off the field? I mean, it was pretty obvious why he was flagged. He said after the game he really didn't get why that happened, and it just seemed a little ironic that situation popped up after Bubba last week had talked about how much you as a head coach stress not doing things that hurt the team or, things like that.
Yeah, obviously. I mean, that's correct. We can't cost our team 15 yards. We did it twice yesterday, and that's not good enough for this football team. And we can't not field that punt. That's obviously those are big plays in these games, and that's just something that we need to, again, make sure that our guys understand how important it is to maintain possession of the ball. And when you do that on the road and you have 2 interceptions, a muff punt, a turnover on downs, it makes it really hard to win. It's not impossible to win in those situations. It just makes it really, really hard.
All right. So, Kevin, I understand the desire to win. This is the first time you and Andrew have been in this position where you're so out of it with 4 games to go. So why wouldn't you guys collaborate and start working on next year with player decisions? Is it the risk of losing the locker room, or what is it?
Well, I would tell you, obviously, Andrew and I collaborate on a lot of decisions, and we'll continue to do that and talk about those type of things, Tony. But I think for me and for us as an organization, really our focus goes to finding a way to win this week versus Kansas City.
Okay, so Dustin Hopkins, you made it very clear yesterday that he's your kicker. And he talked about how hard it is right now for him to get a swing thought that works. He's missed 6 out of 9. Would you even bring in kickers to look at just in case, put a guy in the practice squad?
The thing I would tell you, Tony, is we will work through this with Dustin. This is something that I know he can get through. We'll get through it together. He's a veteran. He's been through a lot in his career already. And this is something we'll continue to work through.
Hey, Kevin, I know Isaiah McGuire was, involved in that forced fumble. He's made some plays throughout this season. How have you seen him kind of grow in the role, especially, after the Zadarius Smith trade where he's been asked to do a little bit more?
I think he's done a nice job, Cam, with those increased reps. Was playing however many plays for us prior, and then certainly has seen an increase in his reps and has done a nice job with them. He was close a couple times yesterday, so it's just, to me, an example of a young player that's going to continue to work, try and get a little bit better every single week.
How much of that has been, the time that he spent around guys like Myles Garrett, those veterans in that room, and the coaching staff too, but people who have kind of helped get him along?
I think that's a big part of player development, is leaning on your locker room, leaning on that position room, leaning on the guys out there on the practice field. I think if you watch our D-line work throughout the day and watch them on the field together, there's a lot of conversation between the vets and the young guys and talking about what works, what might not work, what are some things that they see. So that's just an example of veterans in this locker room, veterans on this team that want to bring their young guys along.
Here, I got a couple injury things. Greg, do you think he'll miss time with that hammy?
He'll miss time, but I'm not sure exactly how long.
Do you know if it's the same one he had surgery on before the season?
It is.
And is Said still in the protocol?
He is still in the protocol.
And Mike Hall, did he have surgery? Because I think he's eligible to come off IR. Do you know if he will?
He did not have surgery. Yes, he's eligible. We'll work through that in the next couple of days.
Kevin, I know we've talked about the interceptions with Jameis, but do you feel like in some ways that's part and parcel of having thrown the ball 99 times in the past 2 games? Or how do you feel about them? Are you getting irritated, mad at these interceptions? Are you accepting them because of some of the circumstances, or what's your sort of feeling on them?
I look at it, Mary Kay, as we need to play better as an offense to help our team win. We don't want to give the ball away in any form or fashion. We don't want to fumble it away. We don't want to throw interceptions. But we also coach each play because each play is a little bit different than the last. So like I've said to you guys before, not all interceptions are created equal. And all we can do with any play is learn from them, and that's what Jameis will continue to do.
And when he said perfect throw about the one to Elijah, was he intimating that perhaps Elijah didn't run his route a little deep enough on that second one, or what? Where do you think he might have been going with that?
Yeah, I'd have to talk to him, about that more specifically. Not sure.
All right, there you go. Coach Stefanski at the podium. Rumpke Waste Recycling, the recycling leader, invests over $100 million to build North America's largest, most technologically advanced recycling center right here in Ohio. Visit rumpke.com to learn more about tours and how this facility helps grow our circular economy. We'll go around the sports world coming up next. You'll listen to Cleveland Browns Daily on 850 ESPN Cleveland. Hey there, friends. Bo here from my friends at Jim Beam. This year, to celebrate Friendsmas, Jim Beam wants to share a little cheer. Purchase a bottle of any Jim Beam family brands or receive a $10 rebate to use toward your holiday festivities. Whether you're getting together with friends at your favorite bar, buying ingredients for cocktails at home, or visiting the Jim Beam Friendsmas shop, Jim Beam is here to help you have the best Friendsmas ever. Visit JimBeamFriendsmasRebate.com to learn more and redeem your $10 Jim Beam certificate. Jim Beam Kentucky Straight Bourbon Whiskey, 40% alcohol by volume. Copyright the 2024 James B. Beam Distilling Company, Claremont, Kentucky. Drink smart. All right, let's choose your own adventure. College football playoff bracket, Juan Soto, Bill Belichick coaching North Carolina. Which of those things interest you most?
I mean, he's talking on McAfee about it. He's like, I'd run it like a professional program. It'll be for players who want to go play in the NFL, and I'll have them ready to go.
Yeah.
Why? There's no way he wants to do this.
I don't.
Now,
there's no chance he wants to do this.
Why? Now, Florio's also saying that none of the 3 NFL teams with openings have even reached out to him. Why?
I think because the last we saw him without Tom Brady, it didn't look good. And he's going to want full control over every part of the operation, and I don't know that he warrants that based on how he's drafted.
I have a feeling if he were running the Falcons, that they would be in a little bit of a better position.
There's no question if you're running the Falcons. I think Dallas next year would make all the sense in the world, but he would have to also acquiesce to, like, you're not going to control the draft.
Not in Dallas.
Dallas, he would not.
No.
Atlanta, I don't would. I don't know.
I don't know. It's very strange, that's for sure.
He would fail spectacularly in the NCAA with the way that the sport is now. North Carolina does not have. They don't have the booster money. I mean, it's a wealthy school, but they don't have the emphasis on football that is required to pay for players. There's no way he's going to re-recruit his own players and players who are 17 years old. You imagine a 17-year-old kid who, because it's North Carolina, says, let's say he's a wide receiver. Ohio State is offering me $1.5 million. I'll come to North Carolina, but it's going to cost you $2.5 million. That's your North Carolina tax, because that's what's happening. Can you imagine Belichick being like, okay, I can somebody get on the line with a booster to see if we can get up with $2 million to get this kid? But Bill, is he worth it? Well, I don't know. He's 17. I don't know if he'll do it. I don't know if turn in anything or not. That's college football at the moment.
Yeah.
So no, I don't think that would work out well on that side of things. So
yeah.
Couple minutes on the playoff.
All right, let's do it.
I think what Ohio State. Look, I want to be very clear. You lose at home to Michigan, you do not have a right to complain about anything. So that's
in years past, you'd be out. That would have been the biggest. Yeah. That's one that I was listening to. Pardon my take on my morning on my drive to Pittsburgh.
Yeah,
and they had on what's his name, Brandon Walker.
Oh yeah.
And they're doing some college football stuff, and they were talking about how they all agree that was like a top 5 college football loss ever.
Yeah,
but he made the point that he's like, because of this, it doesn't matter.
No.
They can still go win the national title. If that was like win that one and they're in, which it would have been in a normal year.
It would have been out, yeah.
They'd be out. Then it is the most devastating.
Yeah.
It's as devastating as it gets.
No doubt.
But it's not. They're still in. Now, they were, I believe, properly punished for that loss because their road is going to be
it's the most difficult
Oregon,
road
Texas,
it could be.
Georgia.
There is not a team in the college football bracket who has a more difficult road to get to a national championship and win it than Ohio State.
Correct.
All of us in the sport and follow it closely in college football, Nate would be among them. At the beginning of the year, we said there were 4 teams that were more talented than everybody else. Ohio State, Oregon, Texas, Georgia. To win a national championship, Ohio State will have to beat all 4, more likely than not. Now,
to be fair, I also believe that Oregon, as the 1 seed, has a significantly more difficult path than Georgia as the 2 seed, which is not right.
They have a more difficult path as the 1 than either Boise State or Arizona State has as the 3 or the 4.
Yes.
They have the most difficult path of the bye seeds.
Yes.
Whether Tennessee or Ohio State.
Yes. Yes.
That's harder than anything. Right? This is nonsense what they did here.
It's also
the disrespect for Notre Dame is outrageous.
Outrageous.
How Notre Dame is why they end up to 7?
7. Why aren't
That's
they 6?
Clown show. I don't know. Penn State has beaten absolutely No one.
Yeah.
None. Do you know what their
Nobody.
best record is? You know what their best win is? He knows. Illinois, 21-7 at home.
That's not a great win.
That's their best win. Their best win are losses to Ohio State and Oregon. That's their best wins. They don't have anything. Nothing
How are
they can hang
ahead
their
of
hat
Notre
on.
Dame? And if Notre Dame were there and Penn
I think
State,
they're
that
trying
helps.
to force Notre Dame into a conference, is what I think.
Here's the other thing. It becomes we can always call audibles, right? And obviously not this year, but college football, Nate says, for the 2025 playoff, even though they're calling this the 2020, it's so confusing. It's 2024
So
season.
stupid,
They're calling it
yeah.
the 2025 national championship.
Uh-huh.
For the next one,
Yep.
win your conference, you get in. You do not get a bye just for winning your conference.
And by the way, I would get rid of that too, because all these conferences aren't created equal. And you can't
I
tell,
think it's fine
you
if you're
can't
at
tell-
12 to have them in.
You can't tell me, and I love the Boise State story. There are, how many teams in their conference do you think have winning records in the Mountain West?
How many teams are in the conference? I was
Three.
going to say 3. That was my number. Rex Chapman.
I believe
Draws and Petra.
3.
Yeah.
3 have winning records. That's it.
Well, here's the thing. What you're then creating.
So you're
is that
telling
it's
me
just-
that's
So why don't
Come on.
we do this? Why don't we have 3 conferences in college football? You ready?
divisions, you mean?
I'm saying conferences.
Okay, go.
Big Ten,
Yep.
SEC,
Yeah.
the world. And I think you should be pulling into they should both be expanding. Big Ten and SEC should take in every school that they want and they think is a real program. Notre Dame should be in the Big Ten or the SEC.
Yeah.
If SMU's got legs, you can bring them in.
Super conference stuff. Yeah.
2. That's all it is. 2 super conferences, and then the rest of the world. And the rest of the world can get an automatic
their own
person
title.
in, or they can have if
Go
the
play for your
couple-
own thing.
or do their own thing. But that's where the reality of where the sport is going. You are going to have the fact that Notre Dame and Ohio State have to play Oregon and Georgia, and you're going to get a Texas-Arizona State game, and likely you could get an SMU Boise game. Like
Penn State, Ohio State beat Penn State a month ago at their place. Penn State did not score an offensive touchdown, and Penn State's road to the national championship is SMU at home. Is it Boise? Boise, and then Georgia with their backup quarterback. Because Carson Beck, elbow, no goodie. So
he's done. He's done.
They haven't said it, but that's what's happening.
So then that side of the bracket has nobody.
No, Georgia limping in or Notre Dame.
So then really if you're the Buckeye Zone, if you beat
You're going to have to beat
Oregon, Texas.
Tennessee, Oregon, and Texas?
That's what you got to do.
Jeez.
Yeah, but if you do that, you're going to win.
Well, yeah, that's true. If you get there and you're still upright. Hey,
Notre
Browns
Dame,
fans,
man.
prepare to boost your game day with the Browns Bingo Day, presented by Ballybet. On December 15th, Ballybet giving away $10,000 in prizes. Play Browns Bingo on the Browns app for free. Presented by Ballybet, official sports betting partner of your Cleveland Browns. The Joe Thomas half hour coming up next. You listen to Cleveland Browns Daily on 850 ESPN Cleveland. Car, truck, or motorcycle accident caused your injury? Call the injury lawyers at 1-800-ELK-OHIO for a free case review. Elk & Oak's proud partner of your Cleveland Browns. It is time for the Joe Thomas half hour of the program on the Twisted Tea Hotline, brought to you by Twisted Tea Hard Iced Tea, official sponsor of your Cleveland Browns. Keep it twisted. Cleveland, the Hoff on the other end of it, my friend. Let's do a little football out of the gates. Z and I were talking about this the last 10 minutes of the first segment, and that is, and I'll pose the question to you. What should we judge this team by the last month? What should we be looking for? What would you be looking for if you were ownership or you're Andrew Berry, Paul DePodesta, Kevin Stefanski? What do you want to see the last month? What standard are you holding them to?
So I would say from a macro standpoint, I want to see the guys playing hard as if the playoffs were on the line, right? I want to see guys that are motivated, that it looks like they're putting in their best effort, not only just on the field, but they look prepared. They look ready for their opponent. And I think that's the big thing, right? Because when you're talking about, okay, how have these coaches done, right? We know that the situation every year is different, and certainly this year is different than probably everybody expected. But can you motivate your guys? Can you get them to play hard? Can you get them to prepare no matter what the circumstances are? So that's the first thing. And then from a smaller level, when you boil down to the micro approach, I want to see the continued development of our receivers, because I think no matter who's going to be our quarterback next year, finding out who do we have that can catch the football, that can be a game changer, whether that be at tight end or at receiver, who's the guys that we can count on moving forward, and are those guys continuing to develop through the end of the season?
Yeah, that's what I was saying, Hoff. And I think the hard part is some of the guys you really would want to see, DeJuan Jones, Mike Hall, JOK. These guys, Tillman's missed the last 2 games, are injured. And so that makes it more of a challenge, right? Because we're forced to play a lot of veterans.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, like I was saying, no season ends up exactly how you would have expected. And if we were sitting at the record that we're at right now with playoffs in the rearview mirror not happening this season, you're saying, hey, it'd be nice to see some of these young guys. DeJuan Jones, can he be your left tackle of the future, right? And I think that was a big question that I think he had answered until he got banged up. Same thing with Cedric Tillman. Can he be a part of what we're doing moving forward? And unfortunately, a lot of those young guys that you felt like were stepping in the right direction, that could be a big part of the future, did get hurt. So now it's a little bit more of these veterans. But I still think the Jerry Jeudy's, Elijah Moore's, I think those are the guys in the pass catching room that you really want to see. Hey, can they take the next step? Can they be reliable veteran receivers that can be a number 1 and a 2? Like, is this the type of offense that they can thrive in, and they're good enough in that room to put us in position to make the playoffs and make a run next season? Because that's what you're looking at right now. It's evaluating everybody to see, hey, can they be a piece of the puzzle for next season to make this thing a playoff run and then potentially a championship team?
All right, Hoff, let's do the Jameis part of that conversation as well, because one of the things that I said was I want to know, I'd like to know one way or another at the end of this stretch if I can go into next season and Jameis is going to be, at the very least, the bridge answer quarterback for this franchise for the next year, perhaps the next year or 2. If you were in that mindset, and I'm not suggesting that you are, I don't want to put words in your mouth, but if you were, what do you need to see out of him to lead you to believe that next year with a full off season, full training camp, you're the man the whole way, you feel comfortable with it?
Well, I think for the Browns situations from a salary cap standpoint, you got to find a quarterback that obviously his salary can fit in your small hole peg that you need him to fit in, and you obviously want good enough play there that you still have a team that you can be excited about and that gives you hope to maybe make the playoffs and make a run for a championship. And at the quarterback position, you got to do 2 things, right? You got to be a great leader. You got to be able to motivate and bring the collective together to play better as a sum of the whole rather than the individual parts. And I think Jameis has done that. I think we've seen great effort out of everybody, motivation. I think he's definitely a natural leader. People are drawn to him. People want to play for him. So I think that box is pretty much checked. But the last piece that you want to see is you want to see the Lord deliver him from not only pick sixes, but deliver him from picks as a whole, because it's great to not throw pick sixes, but when you're still throwing a couple interceptions or having a few turnovers every game, it's fun right now because playoffs are not on the line, and you can say, "Oh shucks, he threw a pick. That's who Jameis is." But it's a different conversation, and you're feeling a little bit different about it if you're 10-2 and you're making a run and he's throwing an interception and you're losing a game that has significant implications for playoffs or seeding or the division. And so I think the perspective is going to change next season when we're hopefully going to be playing for playoffs in December. And you need to be able to have a quarterback that can reliably move the ball down the field, which Jameis can, but also not make those critical interceptions, those critical errors that lead to certain losses. And I think that remains to be seen. Can you see that growth and that progress towards better decision-making down the stretch with Jameis?
It's going to be interesting to see what happens here, these Final Four, and then obviously into next year here, Hoff. But let's take a quick diversion into something that is going to be nothing but bring us pure joy. The Big 4-0, a big trip, some successful foray into nature with some of the young Bucks. Tell us about it. How did it go? Looked awesome, looked glorious, and we couldn't be happier to celebrate a fine man like yourself.
Oh, man, it was great being able to send you guys some videos, some pictures, some text message updates. Hit the big 4-0, finally on top of the mountain. And just like when I was in Germany, I would never walk down the mountain. It's too hard on the knees. So I plan on staying at the top of the mountain forever. We're not going over the hill and going back down. We're just going to stay right here forever. And the celebration in Texas was every bit as I'd hoped. Got a deer one of the first days. We were able to cut the back straps out and do some chicken fried back straps where you slice the back straps into little medallions. You pound them thin, almost like a schnitzel. You bread them, you fry them, you eat them deliciously with some white gravy. It was fantastic. The way we ate, the way we drank, we drank quite a few beverages when we were down there, finished off quite a few bottles in the morning and the afternoon. Just a full day of debauchery and green lights, just the way you'd expect.
The Boulevard of Green Lights, baby.
There it is.
That's right.
Hey, how did you we don't need to divulge all of your secrets, but as a Wisconsin boy, how did you find Texas hunting, and what is it about that you take to? Because you're pretty regular down there, right?
Yeah, it's become an annual trip. Actually, believe it or not, Colt McCoy, one of my best friends when he was my teammate at his rookie season, I don't know, it was year 3 or 4 for me. We just became, buddies. We'd go fishing, hunting together, and he took me down there, introduced me to one of his friends, and I just became really close with the family and one of his buddies, and now my buddy who lives in Texas full time, he comes up to Wisconsin twice a year and hunts with us, and I get to go down there, and it's just totally different from everything you can imagine what I grew up with in the Midwest hunting. Down there, it's all small brush, mesquite trees. They're right on the Rio Grande. So one day we always go down to the river and peer into Mexico, go to see the big wall that's built or being built down there, and just getting a sense of completely a different hunting culture, different part of the world, different food. We're always eating Tex-Mex food when we're down there, which is obviously different than the casseroles and hot dish that we always eat when we're up here. But it's just joyful, right? Like 70 degrees and sunny down there, 15 degrees back home. Pretty easy decision where you want to go sit in a deer stand in December.
Bit of a no-brainer, I would say. Now, is a month of festivities for your 40th? Huh?
Yeah, I feel like it's appropriate.
It's not just one day, right? We got a month.
I mean, I think so. It just makes sense. I've started the month out right, so I think it might as well continue from here. There has not been a red light that I've found yet, and it continues.
I don't think you found a red light in 202024, to be honest with you.
No,
I mean, from the time that you set foot in Munich, it felt like it was just free living.
Boulevard.
The Ibex in Spain, all of it, just Which and it's appropriate. That's what happens. You get a gold jacket, and that buys you at least 1 year of pure green lights.
That looked like a dang good buck you got there too, Hoff, down there.
It was nice. Yeah, it was a great deer. It wasn't as big as the one that I got up in Wisconsin, but just doing it in a different environment on somebody else's ranch and being able to share it with friends is so special, because a couple of my buddies got some nice deer as well, and kind of sharing in the brotherhood and the family-ness, the togetherness, the shared bond that you have when you go out and you sweat it out in the Texas brush for a little bit, and then you come back and tip back a few bourbons, a few whiskeys, a few beers, It's just a great time, and I don't plan on stopping anytime soon because it's just such a great respite from the winter that we get up here. So definitely highly recommended, my friends.
Now, do you go full? What type of mount do we do on these? Because these are both trophies. It looks to me like the one Z just showed me, the one from Wisconsin. That's a real deal there.
Yeah. So shoulder mounts. I'm a big fan of putting her up on the wall because then when I'm sitting in my farm in my shop, we built a big pole barn that's got plenty of wall space for all the trophies. You know, as you get older, as you can imagine, you guys know what it's like. We get older every year, believe it or not.
It happens.
With a little NFL background. Sometimes the memory's not as crisp and clear as it used to be. But you sit there and you look up and you see the mount on the wall, and it immediately all those memories kind of flood back to you. Not only the deer, the moment, the emotions that you had when you were sitting in the stand, but the people that you were there with. It's like the best version of a photograph. You know, you walk by that photograph of a memory, a great time that you had, and immediately you feel those same feels. And to me, that's what a mount is. And so that's what I love, no matter what it is, right? Having a way to remember the hunt is really cool.
You ever done any European mounts?
I have. Yeah, I've actually got
those.
quite a few. And the red stag that I shot when I was in Germany, I think we're going to do a European mount. And the cool thing about European mounts is sometimes the shoulder mounts, they whack the women out a little bit and they're not too keen on putting them in the house.
Yeah.
But like a nice European mount with just the skull and the antlers, it's actually looks great. And Mama said that we might be able to put that in the house. We got a little fireplace near where our pool is. And I think it'll be perfect right there. And then everyone will come in and go, hey, what's that? And then I get an opportunity to tell them about my German experience, my boulevard of green lights when I was in Munich the last month.
Yeah, it's funny how they become like fashion pieces, like those. You can get like facsimile ones you can buy now that these furniture stores sell. Oh, yeah, right. Exactly.
Yeah, my sister bought one actually when they were decorating their house, and she painted it like gold fleck, and it looks really cool. Like it's totally different than what you'd see in Grandpa's hunting shack, of course. But it's really cool. It's definitely like a little conversation piece, and it's become pretty popular. And I'm okay with that. Then I don't get such a hard time about spending money on a mount.
I obviously we're looking at pictures of this right now. I feel like that would be more of a whoa than a shoulder mount. Shoulder mount still like there's a regalness to what's going on there. This is like a little like whoa, stark.
Yeah, I think I'm like I said, shoulder mounts they're good, but like you start going any bigger than that, like full body, you got two problems. One, they're pretty expensive.
Yeah, full body.
Two, it's
seems
like where do I put this?
Yeah,
where do I put this giant animal? So yeah, we're gonna wait for a real special one before we make a full body mount.
It's not lost on Z though, the notion of like, I think what it is, Z, is like when it's funny because when you just see, for those who don't know, European mount is the skull. So there's no fur, there's no flesh, there's nothing, just the white skull and then the horns or the antlers. And the traditional mount that we see mostly in the United States is what Hoff's talking, where you have where it's taxidermy, and you have it.
So you have like
the
neck,
the head,
and
the face, and all of it. Yeah. And I think for one thing, and I don't know if your wife's this way, Hoff. Mine was this way. She was like, the European one, it doesn't feel like I'm looking into the eyes of the animal.
Fair.
It's less animate.
Yes,
if you will.
Yes, it's less realistic.
Even though it is
quite
all
real.
the more. Yes, it's the actual skull.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's interesting. So they sell these at a lot of places for about get a little $40 hollow right there. That's not as fun as actually.
Well,
I would imagine.
We used to have.
But.
I mean, before I don't know what it was like for you, Hoff, growing up, but like out on the farm, we would have we had antlers everywhere. Like some were mounted, many weren't, because I mean my whole family on Thanksgiving we'd all go hunt. I mean there'd be 15 guys going out shooting deer.
Yep.
Like that was just the way that it was.
Yeah.
So it's like you weren't mounting them all. There's no way you could.
Yeah. Right. And one of the cool things is like in the spring, the deer, they drop their antlers.
Yeah.
And a really fun family activity that we've been doing since the kids were little is you go on, you do these hikes and you're tromping through the woods and you're picking up these shed deer antlers, which kind of take on a little bit of a life of their own. You know, the kids, if they find one, they'll like sign their name on it, what year it was, where they found it, and then we put it up on the cabinets. in the kitchen, and then 3-4 years go by, you pull it down, you see how like the kids signed their name, and it's the same thing. Like it brings back that memory of what it was like when the kid stumbled upon an antler, which usually you find it and then you're like, hey Jack, I think there's an antler over here. It looks like a really good spot. And then pretty soon he kicks it with his foot and goes, oh Dad, I found one, But just having those memories that are shared with the family and having like a keepsake that's actually cool. Has some value that you're not going to just toss away. Like, most of the junk we're buying out of China these days. Like those things are pretty cool that, you can keep around for a long time. And they become little conversation pieces. And as the kids get older, they harken back to the days when they were little wee lads. I'm sure it was like that for you, Bo, on the ranch. Like you had little memories, little things that you picked up when you were a kid that you still would look at or your parents would look at and, remind you of the good old days.
Just up the hill from the homestead is Indian burial ground. So there's rings, Indian teepee rings are all over in the pasture that's just above the homestead.
Huh.
So we would go up there and look for those and look for arrowheads and tomahawks and that type of stuff. So, yeah, no.
Did you guys ever find any arrowheads?
We definitely found a lot of arrowheads.
That's so
when
cool.
we were really little. Yeah, those we definitely found. My dad always claimed he found a tomahawk when he was a kid because it was the same place he grew up. But I never saw evidence of it, so I think he probably was lying.
Yeah.
He lied a lot.
Yeah, that's cool. My friend, he lied a lot. Well, that's part of being a country person. Like you got to add a little bit to every story, a little salt and pepper.
Bit, yeah.
My father-in-law lives on a lake up in northern Wisconsin, where there obviously used to be a lot of Native Americans, and there was a spot that they used to go to work on their tools, and he actually found this rock that they used to use to sharpen or make their arrowheads. And that was one of the coolest things I've ever heard anybody found, because you could see exactly where the person put their hands and used it as a tool to make these arrowheads 300, 400, 500 years ago. So little stuff like that is just cool when you're out wandering around.
I love it.
Yeah,
it's fun.
It's cool.
Yeah, the scavenger hunt. Arrowheads are awesome. I think whenever I go down to when we're in Arizona and you go in, I like going in those shops and seeing all the different arrowheads and seeing all that stuff. It's good stuff.
Well, we got the Chiefs coming in here.
Speaking of,
there we
play
go.
an Arrowhead.
They
That's
do.
a big B transition.
You like that?
That was good.
You like that?
That's right.
Look, they just win every week, Hoff. It's not particularly pretty always, but they win every week. They're coming in here. This backstretch for us is brutal. It's Kansas City, then it is Cincinnati on the road, then Miami here, then Baltimore on the road. I don't think you want to lose your last 6 games, my friend, as an operation, and at the same time, the challenge is robust.
Yeah, it's not going to be easy, but I think sitting where we are, right, no playoffs, and you're trying to find out about the players on this team. Who do you want to be around next year? I think having tough competition is good, right? It hopefully will make people feel that level of stress that they need to add to their preparation. They need to have laser focus going into the games, because a lot of these games, a lot of the country is going to be watching, because these are extremely meaningful games for the teams certainly that we're playing. And you got an opportunity to hopefully get the best version of all these guys. Specifically, I'm thinking of Jameis, right? He's going to go play against some great defenses down the stretch. Can he find a way to continue to be good Jameis, and then also continue to have the good Lord deliver him from pick sixes, and then now maybe just regular interceptions?
Just plain old interceptions, yes.
Just plain old interceptions. And I think then you might be able to walk out of that stretch. Maybe we win a couple of them. Maybe you win more than a couple. But you can say, confidently, we've seen progress from week to week with Jameis, and he's finding a chemistry with his pass catchers. You're starting to understand the parts of the offense that he really likes, and maybe some of the stuff that you want to get trimmed. And then you can have a really good evaluation in the offseason of, all right, what does this quarterback room look like going into next season?
Because that's the big question, right? That's the burning question. We were going through it. You look at the teams that are in the playoffs in the AFC, certainly they all have quarterbacks of great accomplishment. The NFC, you've got kind of 4 of those where you'd say we've got franchise guys, and then 3 who have been kind of on their second, third, or fourth stops even, but are playing well in Geno Smith, Baker, and Sam Darnold. And so that's what it's all about, right? I mean, you got to find that position. And for the Cleveland Browns, can Jameis be a guy that gives you a brand of winning football? And, he's playing kind of just like his career numbers would suggest he would play. He's kind of, we went through it earlier, kind of right on them exactly. And so you hope that maybe there's still one last little evolution in there to just take care of the football a little bit more and you could tell, I felt watching it, Hoff, I don't know about you, but that the second pick six in Denver lingered with him, because when he was thrown to the sidelines, he was missing high and wide as if like either there's going to be a miracle catch or it's going to be incomplete, but nobody's intercepting it.
Yeah, and I think that's the issue that you run into when you're a guy that's a little turnover prone. It's because he does feel like he could fit it into every window. And then all of a sudden when he's playing tight and worried about throwing those interceptions, now he's not making those tough throws on the sideline that are game-changing, that change what a defense feels like they can get away with, right? If you're dropping dimes and you're throwing into tight windows all day, like defenses have to play you differently, and it makes it really hard on them, and it opens up the rest of the field, and it can open up your run game. It opens up play action. Like it does so much for you. So you want to be able to still get that from Jameis, but just reduce the number of boneheaded interceptions. And it's a tough, tightrope to walk with him, but that's what you want to see. That's what you want to see with Ken Dorsey and Kevin Stefanski. Hey, can we coach this guy so that he can still be the gunslinger, the Brett Favre, without as many of the interceptions? Like you're always going to have a few, especially if you're throwing into tight windows and you're throwing the ball as much as we throw. But can you have the ones like on the screen pass where it was just like, that's not one you need to throw? Or you need to find a way to just throw it into the dirt, throw it a little bit higher, live to see another down, right? Those are the ones that you really want to eliminate. And I think it's a mindset thing. And I think I have a lot of belief in Dorsey and Kevin Stefanski that they can continue to work with him in a measured way to continue to work on those split-second decisions. And you hope a little bit of experience against great competition that he'll be able to make some more of those good decisions. And then for his teammates, positively reinforcing him when he makes those decisions, right? Let's say on that screen pass that Keanu Benton picked off, he dirts it because he sees Benton falling off. You want to see everybody in that offensive huddle going back and being like, great job, Jameis. That was the great decision, so that he's not only being positively reinforced when he makes a great throw and it's into a tight window and it was a great decision, but he's also being reinforced when, hey, sometimes a throwaway into the stands is the best thing possible. And you want to make sure that he's feeling that positive reinforcement in his mind so that he can continue to build good habits and continue to make those improvements you want to see down the stretch.
Hoff, let's zoom out and do a big picture NFL thing. I'm curious your view of what Detroit, this run that they've been on of just dominance. They've gotten through the last couple of weeks, beat the Bears 23-20, then beat the Packers 34-31. They host the Bills this week. And Buffalo put on a show. They lost, albeit in L.A., but put on a show with the Rams and Stafford over the weekend. But these are two teams that have been kind of the best over the last month in Detroit for a long time. Where are you on how Dan Campbell ought to coach this last month? Because they're going to wrap up home field. They're only got a game lead on Philly, however. But whenever they wrap that up, do you rest, or it just feels like they're going every week just win, win, win? Is that sustainable? What do you think of their approach?
I like their approach, and one thing I think is that whoever you are, you want to stay that same team, right? Because it's really hard to turn that switch on and off. It would be easy to say, hey, down the stretch, especially once we have everything wrapped up, like, all right, let's just play our guys in the first quarter. Let's just play them a little bit, take our foot off the gas. But I think if you do that, it's hard to put the foot back on the gas when you do get to the playoffs and you do get into those high-pressure situations. So I think you just keep pouring it on. Like, obviously, injuries can dictate. You maybe want to change things. Like, let's say there was some injuries on the offensive line for whatever reason. Now you're having a hard time protecting Goff. Okay, maybe you need to have a different calculus, but I think you just need to be the same team that got you to this point, because it would be too hard to go and pivot and then hit the gas again if you did try to rest guys down the stretch. And I think when you look at NFL playoffs and Super Bowl champions, a lot of times the teams that win are the teams that get hot in December, right? Because and it's close. Like, they need to win every game in the last three to be able to make it in. And then when they make it in, like, they're rolling. They're playing their best football. And I think that momentum and the way people prepare and they play when everything's on the line on every snap, I think is a good way to hit the playoffs, because then that's what you're going to get. It's really, it takes time, and it's really hard to get to that flow state that you would be in as a team to be able to go run the playoffs and then win in the Super Bowl. And I think the only way you get there is by keeping the pedal to the metal all the way through December.
Hoff, I want to ask you about, we've seen Dan Campbell do, when we saw it last year in the NFC Championship, going for some of the fourth downs he did not go well. We're seeing, obviously, a lot more go well for him this year on those fourth downs. But just from an offensive perspective, when you know that if we get 9 yards on the first 3 downs, we're going to go for it, sometimes even if we get 8, how does that change, your play calling or what you're able to do as an offense?
So this was an interesting, really season-long conversation we had when I was in Munich, because I'm much like Dan Campbell, where it's like, hey, if it's fourth down and it's 3 or less, and we're anywhere near midfield, even on our own 40, like basically if we don't get it, as long as they are out of field goal range right away, and it's 4th and 4 or 4th and 3 or less, we should go for it. And we should know that as part of our DNA. Because, and this was what me and my offensive coordinator, Cal Callahan, would always say, is like, if I know I have 4 plays to get 10 yards, I might call my first and second and third down plays a little bit different. Yep. And I don't have to worry, because if it's 3rd and 6 and I know the defense is going to be defending the sticks, well, let's throw a 1 or 2 yard pass, try to gain a couple yards, and then have a play dialed up like a quick quarterback sneak. This is what New England did forever with Tom Brady. Like, as soon as you get to 4th and 1, before you even give the defense a chance to substitute or think about what's going on, you get up, you quarterback sneak it, you get the first down. Now you got a new set of downs, and you're playing like it never happened. I think that mindset, is so valuable to a play caller, to an offense, and I think it gives a ton of momentum and confidence to an entire offense. One, because I think if you do go for a lot of those 4th and shorts, you're going to get really good at it, and your chances of success continue to go up. But then there's no panic on your side of the ball, right? I've seen it so many times in my career where you're a team that doesn't go for it a lot on 4th down. All of a sudden, when you need to go for it, everybody's booty hole is all puckered up, because it's like, holy cow, we're really going for it. This must be a big thing. We need to get this. And then what happens? Somebody jumps off sides. I can't remember what game it was this weekend. It may have been our game. Shoot. I watched too much football this week. I can't remember. But it was like one of those situations where you get to the goal line, it was 4th down, and then all of a sudden one of your vets on the O-line jumps off sides because
it was 3rd and 1 for us.
Pressure of that moment. 3rd and 1.
Yeah.
Was it Conklin?
Conklin, yep.
All right. In my mind, that's what it was, but I wasn't sure enough because I couldn't remember if it was one of the other games I watched. But I think if you're a team that's just who you are, it's just another day at the office when it's 4th and 1 and the game's online, because you've been doing it so often. And I think it really plays to your advantage over a defense that maybe isn't in those situations quite as often.
Hoff, a privilege and a pleasure. Thank you for regaling us with your stories. It brings a warm smile to our faces. Happy birthday, buddy. May the festivities continue through the entire winter solstice, really. There's no reason to stop it.
Well, guys, I really appreciate it, and I'll make sure to tell Annie that you guys have said do not stop the birthday.
Green lights. Green means go. Right. There are no red lights.
Green means go.
Green means go, baby.
So thanks for having me on, guys.
All right, Hoff, there it is. The Joe Thomas half hour of the program. Joined on the Twisted Tea Hotline, brought to you by Twisted Tea Hard Iced Tea, official sponsor of your Cleveland Browns. Keep it twisted, Cleveland. Browns fans, check out Vivid Seats, the official fan experience packages for this season's home games. When you purchase seats in the Vivid Seats Terrence experience, you're also going to score pregame field passes, all-inclusive food and beverage and more. Visit vividseats.com today to learn more. Your great clips, great clip of the game coming up next. You're listening to Cleveland Browns Daily on 850 ESPN Cleveland.
We're here for
Looking for a way to spoil your favorite four-legged friend this holiday season? Join Barking Backers, presented by Milkbone, the fan club for dogs. Joining Barking Backers and purchase premium by December 15th to guarantee your kit delivery by the holidays. Score an extra box of treats and be entered to win a photo shoot and 2025 calendar with your pup. Visit barkingbackers.com to join today. Time for your great clips, great clip of the game. Great clips, it's going to be great. Here's Jerry Jeudy's 35-yarder in the first.
On a 3rd and 9, Ford the back, Winston the gun, has the ball, steps up in the pocket, he may run, now throwing, what's Jeudy, has it, touchdown, Jerry Jeudy, 35 yards, Jameis on the run, as he got to the line of scrimmage, let it go, Jeudy caught it at the 5 and waltzed into the end zone.
What does he do so well? We've been talking about it. It's that pocket movement. When he escapes up to the left on that 45-degree, both hands on the ball, eyes down the field, and where does he see the hottest receiver in the NFL, Jerry Jeudy, for 6.
Oh, baby. Good job, man. You know what's beautiful is you got a little context on the highlight. Little
Pocket
color
movement.
Little color.
Little commentary.
Little color. Little
Yeah,
color
you got the
commentary
play-by-play,
on
and
that.
then
you got
the-
the play, and then you little color. You get the full context.
Yeah.
I don't know. That's a pretty good job.
Felt pretty great.
That's a pretty good job.
I could see it in my mind's eye.
Give me G-Man, just so for those of you who are not watching on the stream, as soon as we start playing it, Segura turns and stares at G-Man. G-Man puts his hand on his chin and just stares back, emotionless.
Yeah. That's pretty good, actually.
As you and I celebrate, fists in the air with the fact that he did it right, ready to pronounce him the G-Man.
Well, he
Gibbe-
also, hold on, before, when it was nearing the point where it was make or break, either I was going to go.
Yeah.
He gave me a one of these, like the Hulk.
Oh,
So just
baby.
Go ahead and take a listen.
Take a listen.
Take a listen. Yeah,
And then
good.
over his left shoulder is Gibbe just shaking his head no. It was amazing.
It's like let's
By the way,
give let's
all
give
you
the
want.
little brother his 5 seconds of airtime because he threw a temper tantrum last week. Let's give him a little bit of airtime.
Oh, my good temper tantrum.
Oh,
First of
good
all,
job.
you're
Little
over
Nate
here.
got in. Good job.
Little
Good
Nate
job.
got in. Nate got in.
Nobody likes bullies, Gibbe.
There's no bullying.
Hey,
man.
what are we going to
Be a
do?
star,
We
not a
got
bully.
we have a clerical question on the over-unders.
Give him the highest scoring Steeler, Freiermuth. Doesn't matter.
Freiermuth was already in.
So for Pickens, then
So
you would
for
have to get the
Pickens,
next
'cause-
top.
So
the top,
it was.
give him the top.
You guys went all the same on the rest of it.
I know. I win this.
And you had Browns. He had Steelers.
I know.
So it was Najee, Pickens, and Freiermuth versus Chubb, Judy, Chief. So my feeling was we give it to the next highest receiver.
Give him.
I don't think I could win no matter what, could I?
Scotty Miller.
Najee and Freiermuth both had touchdowns.
Yeah, but so did Chief.
Chief and Judy.
Chief and
Yeah,
Judy
and then
did,
it's
but
Mike
Chubb
Williams
didn't.
is 30. Scotty Miller's 38 yards. Nick Chubb 48. Sorry.
The pride of Bowling Green.
How'd you guys do this week? You both got that. Both Russ under.
Yep.
You both missed Jameis passing yards.
Yep.
Zagura won.
Yep.
Browns over Steelers. Sacks 3.5.
No.
Negative.
I believe we had one sack and no turnovers.
Yeah,
or
so
one
we missed
takeaway.
that
So we had
one.
two.
Yep, we needed, and
And
then
the
43.5 was the over-under.
41. No.
41.
Doesn't matter. The scoreboard says
Yeah,
this.
so Gibbe went 1-4, and you went 2-3.
33-33 with 4 weeks to go.
It's a
Embrace
dead
him to
heat.
suck.
It's
It's
a
a
dead
dead
heat.
Even Steven.
Even. So we all. What did we? We got 2 right. So it's
Yeah.
34-34.
Yeah, it's 30. Yeah, you're 34. Well,
No, I'm up 1 still. I
No.
think.
no, you're 34 and 34 and 31. You're above 500. You're 34 and 31 because
Yeah.
you won 2, missed 3. And Gibbe got 1, so he's 34 and
Same. We're the same. We should be the same.
I don't think so.
Yeah, you were
I
up
think
1
I'm
coming
up
into
1.
this week, and I got 2, and you got 1. So that's
No, last week we tied.
yeah, you were up 1.
Yeah.
Yeah, Gibbe, you're even.
Now
you're
we're
both
even.
34 wins.
All right.
34
tied
wins
with
each.
4 to go. Exactly right. That's exactly
34.
Perfect.
You're both
Just where I
34
got
and
him.
32 overall is the record. So you're above 500 on that side of things. That's the way that shakes out. Let me ask you guys a question. Do they do?
By the way, solid scores again.
It's very solid scores.
Very solid. And it's unbelievable. Our ability to split games that we don't both. So I got Green Bay.
Yeah.
You got Jacksonville.
Yeah.
I did not. The other ones we split. You got Tampa. Vegas was looking pretty good until O'Connell got hurt.
They were, yeah.
They were looking pretty good till O'Connell got hurt. But then I came back and got the Rams.
You did get the
And
Rams.
I got the Niners.
Yep.
Which Pedro was very sad. And then we both got Chargers. So I think we're, let's see, 1, 2, 3. Right now you're 7 up, and there's only it's both winning weeks.
Yeah.
Like 7 and 8 is what we're both at.
We're in a good spot.
And we have a game tonight.
We do.
So we have potential for a 9-4, 8-5 week.
You're welcome. I don't know what to do.
This is typically in years past.
Yeah.
We have raced out and then kind of held on, and then this year it was slow and then lift off.
To dig out, and we're crushing it. Absolutely.
We are. You're welcome.
Yeah.
It's the holiday season.
Here to help, kids. Here to help. We will pick the Monday Nighter coming up next. You're listening to Cleveland Browns Daily, 850 ESPN Cleveland. Browns fans, we're giving away a stealth recliner courtesy of Zip Chair by Dream Seed at the end of the season. Visit zipchair.com to learn more about how to deck out your fan cave with custom Browns branded furniture. Hello, Gibby.
Gentlemen, we have Monday Night Foosball. There's something with The Simpsons and ESPN tonight. Is there a Manning cast tonight?
Let me ask you,
there's a lot being thrown at the wall tonight.
Let me just say this. Is this too much?
I think we might be getting to that point.
Is The Simpsons want to try
2
to
minutes,
get
2
kids
minutes.
It's a
involved?
lot of platforms.
Yes, I don't know.
And a
but
lot
like,
of
are
things.
kids watching The Simpsons?
I love The Simpsons.
You know, I've never seen an episode.
What?
Oh, my God.
Neither have I, Bo.
You and me, Kev. I've
Well,
never seen an
yeah.
episode of it. My brothers
Both
liked
of you
it when I
can't
was a
be
kid.
perfect, I guess.
I mean, my brothers liked it, but I'm aware of it. I know the characters,
Yeah.
but I've never like sat down and watched an episode of
So
it.
this is
I
their
was more of a South Park guy.
By the way, this is their last regular season Manning cast.
Well, that's an odd choice.
Well, there's
I
not
suppose
a
they don't
Monday.
wanna
There's
work
not a
holidays.
Monday night the final week, so
And they don't want to work the holidays.
Yeah, till wild
is
card.
it.
The next one will be the wild card. It says guest TBD. I'm sure we can find it. What's it on Omaha
Well, they got Collinsworth.
tonight?
Yeah. Yeah, Collinsworth is on, and I think Belichick obviously again.
well,
and then,
I can tell you the Bengals, the Northern Kentucky Bengals, are on the road down south in Big D in Dallas. Seth Walder from ESPN. Chance to make the playoffs with a win tonight. Bengals 3%, Cowboys 2%.
1 minute.
The
1 minute.
Bengals have activated Cade York in advance of tonight's matchup with Dallas. Bo Bishop.
just feels like in a season where very little has gone right, if you are Jamar Chase and you were playing in that stadium with that star, that you're going to ball out. I think fast track for the Bengals. I think they handle their business easily. Huge Bengals.
30.
Bengals huge.
All right. You've convinced me. By the way, guest tonight, Belichick, John Legend, Chris Collinsworth on the Manning
Legends
cast.
from Springfield, so that could be it. Maybe it's a lifelong Bengals fan or something like that.
All right.
There you go.
15.
It's a good group.
Should be. I'd like just let this game be a fun shootout.
I think it'll be fun. I mean, it feels like
I would like that.
Cincinnati
It's a
will do what
must
they
win.
want in the air, so and maybe Dallas will too. We'll see. Either way, we'll be back here tomorrow to reflect on all of it. The next level's coming up next. Thanks for listening, everybody. Cleveland Browns Daily, 850 ESPN Cleveland.